What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream of The Lion King. If you guys are just now hopping on, we covered the original Lion King a few months back and then the second Lion King. These were all first-time watches from my buddy Mike of Did You See That, who you see here joining us right now. Now, if you clicked on the thumbnail expecting a Rashad reviews as well don't worry, he is coming soon enough. He said he's running just a few minutes behind, but we figured we'd get the live stream started, get a little bit of an intro going, and let people start to trickle in. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching it after the fact, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to us talk about The Lion King 1.5. And yeah, so Mike, first off, thanks for joining. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, thanks, brother, for having me once again. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm doing well. I was on Mike's channel yesterday for Z Talks, the return of Z Talks. For anybody who does not know what that is, it is a live stream series that Mike does over on his channel where he runs for a couple of hours or a few hours sometimes, and we'll have dozens of sometimes he's had dozens, but at least about a dozen, sometimes guests or a little bit under. I think yesterday, you had maybe 9 or 10 guests on throughout the day?
10, yeah, five per hour. Yeah, that's the maximum Streamyard allows you to have.
That's right. But I know you've done those longer ones where you've had literally 5 people every hour, which is something I definitely commend. I'm sure scheduling that sometimes can be a nightmare, but if you guys want to be a part of watching one of those Z Talks in the future, definitely go subscribe to his channel. The link is down in the description box. So quickly, I thought it would be fun while we wait for Rashad. Last time when we covered one of these in a live stream, we did The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, right, which of course introduces Simba's daughter, Kiara, as well as Kovu. And before we saw that movie before Mufasa came out, so it was kind of that question I had asked you guys, what would you like to see them maybe touch into? So Kiara is in that movie though, in the Mufasa prequel, as we kind of spend times in the past and then times in the future. So I'm curious now, having seen The Lion King 2, what did knowing who Kiara was help your experience with the movie at all? I know that you weren't a huge fan of Mufasa as a whole, but did that kind of help your experience at all?
Yeah, definitely. Being used to that character and having a bit of that backstory from The Lion King 2, kind of just really to kind of cement and educate me a little bit going into Mufasa, The Lion King. So I was like, oh, right, oh, cool. I know who this character is now. I know a little bit about their journey so far. And it was good to have that insight experience. And I wouldn't have had that, Anthony, unless you had me on your channel. So again, thanks, man, for having me for that. And yeah, we'll touch into it as we talk about Lion King 1.5, but there's a certain shot in that movie when Timon's looking, as far as the eye can see, and he sees Pride Rock. And when I saw that moment, I was like, wow, it actually really made me appreciate Mufasa the Lion King a little bit more than I actually did. So that movie definitely helped me appreciate that more. But yeah, go back to your question. Yeah, having that knowledge of Kiara definitely helped me going into Mufasa the Lion King.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that was able to do that, even if it only helped the slightest bit, because I know you weren't a big fan of that movie. But yeah, man, I'm excited to have gone through this journey with you, and I think it's been a lot of fun to talk about it and have the various different opinions on it and different things like that. Because as you know, The Lion King is holds a very special place in my heart, as we've talked about with these movies. And we're going to get into it with this one as well once Rashad pops in here. But yeah, this was a movie that for me as a kid, I have a lot of fond memories of watching because I had the DVD and I used to sit down and play all these different little mini games that they had in the DVD menu. It was very much of its time, stuff that you wouldn't see in a DVD or Blu-ray today, unfortunately.
Right.
But stuff that I think was certainly cool at the time for sure. So before we get into the specific thoughts, because I want Rashad to be a part of the conversation and hearing and being able to bounce off one another's thoughts, I guess my kind of thing I want to throw out to you now, as somebody who's now seen all of the feature-length Lion King films, both live action and animated.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the Lion King franchise as a whole? As an entirety, what do you think of this franchise?
Man, I'm going to say this. I'm a little bit torn between it because there's parts of it that I think, wow, that first original Lion King, the animated one, watching it for the first time and then watching these follow-on sequels and the Mufasa, the live action one, is giving me more appreciation for that original. And I can see myself, one day if I do have a child, wanting to show them the Lion King growing up and have them grow up in that movie because it's a great movie. And I think, I can admire them making sequels. I can admire them trying to expand the lore, the story, and adding a bit more context onto the characters' journeys than just that one movie. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, is it really necessary that we needed these sequels? To me, not really. Although there's certain elements in the movies that add to the lore, and I like that it's added to it, but there's a lot of it where I'm just like, we don't really need that. However, with that said, I will leave it on this. I would like them to actually maybe add an entry into the Lion King franchise. Nowadays, if they had the right budget, had the right voice cast returning, had a really great story to tell, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Instead of this live action universe that we're getting with the Lion King, I would like a new animated one. And I think nowadays, and the kids growing up now, and those kids are now adults like yourself, for example, I think that could be a really, really good movie.
I agree. And funny enough, and I was going to talk to you guys about that in this stream today, actually. And so I'll bring it up again later, but there's actually a TV show that came out, and the Mufasa movie actually touches on that. I haven't seen the TV show. It's called The Lion Guard. It came out. Yeah, it came out on Disney Channel, and I believe it's available on Disney Plus. But in the new movie, at the very end of it, you see Mufasa, or not, I'm sorry, Simba and Nala at the end of Mufasa come, and they bring a son, like their son, to Kiara, who is the main character of the Lion Guard. But it's a TV show, so I figured it wasn't fair, kind of like the Land Before Time. It's not fair to like ask you guys to watch a whole show for a live stream, but it is out there, but I haven't seen it yet, so I do plan on covering it after we do these streams. But without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Rashad G.
There he is.
Hey. What's up, bro? What's good, bro? We kept the discussion light, just overall Lion King discussion right now, just kind of getting Mike's thoughts on how he feels about it after seeing all the movies and stuff like that. We didn't get into this actual movie just yet, but thanks for joining. Just like Mike, you guys can find the link to Rashad down below in the description box, so go give him some love. Let him know I sent you. And if you guys want to catch up, we've already done the first Lion King, Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and today we're talking about the Lion King 1.5 that came out in 2004, and in other countries, or some other countries, it's known as the Lion King 3, Hakuna Matata, which we're going to get into in just a second, because I'm actually curious to know which one of those you guys prefer more. But yeah, we've been talking with Mike a little bit about it. Let's start off with this one, Lion King 1.5. This is a movie that I remember fondly as a kid, and I hadn't seen it for a long time. I knew it was always my least favorite of the three that we had watched or that had come out, but I have so many fond memories. I was telling Mike earlier about the DVD. There was like a roller coaster mini game in the DVD where you could like pick which directions you went on this roller coaster with Timon and Pumbaa, and it would take you through different parts of the movie and different characters would appear. And I just remember having so much fun with that as a kid. There was a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like that TV show. There was like a game on the DVD as well. And so I just have so many fond memories of popping this DVD in, messing around with it, and then watching this movie. So Rashad, we'll throw it off to you first, man, as we get into this discussion. I know this was a first time watch for you, The Lion King 1.5. Firstly, what did you think about it? And what do you think is a better title, The Lion King 1.5 or The Lion King 3, Hakuna Matata?
The first thing I want to say is neither one of those titles fit because this ain't a Lion King movie. All right. Second of all, The Lion King has been on a roll for me because I really love the first one. Simba's Pride was surprisingly very good. I enjoyed that more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. We don't talk about the remake. Mufasa, I really enjoyed. All right. I might be in the minority. I really enjoyed Mufasa. So coming into this one, I was like, okay, Lion King is on a roll. Let's go. Let's make lemonade here. And yeah, this was hard to get through. This almost felt like the Star Wars holiday special, but not as bad. But the same feeling as a Star Wars holiday special because it's like, it's the Lion King universe. The Lion King is going on around it, but we're focusing on the comic relief. All right. As much as I love C-3PO and R2-D2, I don't want to see a whole movie about C-3PO and R2-D2. They belong as comic relief in this epic adventure. Like they fit perfectly within that. Timon and Pumbaa fit perfectly in The Lion King, but with their own movie, hell to the no. I checked out plenty of times watching this on the phone, DMing people, getting rejected. you know, all kinds of shit. And then by the end, I'm like, so to wrap it up, this movie absolutely stunk. It stunk up the joint. I had to spray some air freshener and open up a couple of windows. That's how bad this movie stunk the joint up.
All right, fair enough. So I should have probably started this off for anybody who's unfamiliar with The Lion King 1.5 before we get into Mike's thoughts. Is that this is a movie that, like the title would suggest, takes place before, during, and after the events of the first Lion King movie, specifically as we get to know how Timon. This is essentially the solo a Star Wars story of The Lion King in a way where it's like everything you know about Timon and Pumbaa and their friendship, anything you kind of are able to even allude to and understand in the first one is all shown here. How they come together, how they become friends, how they find their paradise for Hakuna Matata, how they find Simba. And it does add a little bit of backstory to those moments. I think it expands upon a couple of things. I remember that Mike, when we watched the first one, he was like, I wish there was a little bit more time between when Simba's a kid and when he's with Timon and Pumbaa and when he's like bigger. And this movie does give us a little bit of that. So I am curious to hear your thoughts on that part of it, Mike. But the most notable thing about this film that makes it different is that it breaks the fourth wall, and that Timon and Pumbaa are watching this as a movie, and we see them like in a movie theater kind of setting, which all leads to this big cameo-filled scene at the very end of the movie where every Disney character you can think of appears at this movie theater to watch the movie again. So anyway, with all that said, that's what this movie is about. Mike, what were your thoughts on The Lion King 1.5? And do you prefer The Lion King 3 Hakuna Matata as a title, or do you think 1.5 works better?
Yeah, I think 1.5 definitely works better if they're going to call it between one of the two titles, just because how many times do we see nowadays they make prequels to an original movie, but they end up calling it like, say for example, like Final Destination 5, which is like a prequel to Final Destination, right? So it kind of makes no sense. Why have you got a fifth one that's a prequel to just plain title, right? So yeah, I think there's parts of this, like a bit like Rashad, I'll be honest, there was a few times I was kind of checked out a little bit, which we'll go into more detail. There was some moments that I actually really enjoyed. Do you want me to touch on those moments or just kind of?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. We'll just get the conversation flowing. Pick out anything you want to talk about.
Sure. So like you were saying, Perez, like, so when we watched that first original Lion King, I was like, oh, I wish there was some bit more gasp, wish it was a bit more time. So one part I really loved is when Pumbaa farts in the middle of all the animals gathering around, like, the coronation of Simba as such with Rafiki. And then like the zebra's like, oh, I guess we're all bowing now, right? But they're all knocked out with the fart. And I thought that was like really clever and funny fart joke, right? It actually worked really well. And I was like, wow, okay, that was actually really cool. I like that. Then yeah, also the part at the end, like when he's like digging the tunnels and he's getting rid of the hyenas again. I like that. It kind of explains what happened to the hyenas. And I think there's little elements like that I think work well. But to Rashad's point, because you've got two side characters who are just comedy relief, I don't think they can hold a movie. I felt like this could have been a short, like a quick half an hour, maybe tops, to like be like, right, this is what we were doing, this is how we met. Because let's face it, they didn't have an intricate meeting and how they first met, right? They bumped into one another really, and they try to find a safe space for them to where they're going to live. And I don't mean that one's like an hour and 25-minute movie. So yeah, I felt like it was overstretched. The middle act definitely dragged for me personally. But like the opening, like about the song, like I was giving this, the opening song with any of these Lion King movies are great. Like they're never going to top the original, but they're still good.
Right.
So yeah, I felt like it did drag a little bit, to be honest. I was waiting for it to kind of end by the end of it. But that cameo scene, I was like, what the hell does this come from? But I dug it though.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So we got a bit of some mixed bag opinions in there. Yeah, for me, rewatching it, there is nostalgia there. I won't lie. So nostalgia is there, all those memories. That's why I brought up the stuff of like messing with the DVD, because that's what I was doing when this movie came out in 2004. In 2004, I was probably 10.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I was like 10 or 11. So that definitely speaks to it a little bit. And both of you guys were just a tad older than me. What'd you say?
You ain't shit, man.
With all that said, what's that you said?
No, it's about just a tad bit older than tad bit older. You know what you're doing.
I mean, just a little bit, You're still a young man.
Thank you.
But yeah, so go back and rewatching it. I found it to be fun. My wife and I both had nostalgia for it. And when it was over, we were like, this is fun and cute. The main thing though, that's just right on the mind though, fun and cute, unnecessary. We did not need this movie. And I think more than anything, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and I'll throw it over to Rashad. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about how you feel about moments kind of like what Mike said. I do think that's one of the better ones with like Pumbaa farting and it causing everybody to bow. That bowing scene in the original film is one of the most like impactful moments, that beautiful music that's playing and how much that really hits you as a viewer, because you feel immediately from just that intro, you feel that respect they have for Mufasa and for now Simba. And so I'm curious, how did you guys feel about the elements of this film that coincided with the events of the original film, giving you a bit of a different context, or even like Timon and Pumbaa being there for like, I can't wait to be king song, when they're just like there and they cause all those animals to fall and stuff like that. So Rashad, we'll start with you. How did you feel about the moments that specifically correlate directly to the events of the original film?
Oh, well, like you said, I mean, just everything about this movie just felt unnecessary. Like even and I'm a sucker for a good fart scene, because I have a sense of humor like that. Like, farting in bathtubs and seeing the bubbles come up makes me laugh. I just have a juvenile sense of humor like that. But just I don't know nothing of it. And I tried, bro. Like, you crazy, man. I really tried to find something in here to like in this movie, and I don't know. I guess because I love the first Lion King so much, and this felt like such a parody of that, and just an unnecessary movie that I couldn't find anything that I liked about it. Even Timon and Pumbaa, and it's funny because Mufasa, they were my least favorite parts of that movie. So now I got to watch an 1.5 hour movie about them doing a parody of the Lion King, and yeah, man, nothing worked here, man. Everything just felt unnecessary. If it was a parody, like you said, something that could have been a short or like a 30-minute, after school episode or something like that, But a whole movie, fuck out of here. 1:24, it felt like 3 hours, man. I felt like I was watching Oppenheimer or something. You know what I'm saying? Come on, dog. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I will say though, speaking on fart jokes, I did like the scene where they're all in the jacuzzi and Pumbaa gets out and then the bubbles stop. Like, that scene made me laugh. There's something about it that's just so silly that made me laugh. And I really did like having that time in between with Simba in particular, even like the silly scenes of him being like, I gotta go to the bathroom or something. And like now we get to see Timon and Pumbaa kind of like raising him a little bit more. It gives a little bit more context to those scenes where Nala shows up and they're upset about Nala coming and kind of like ruining their trio dynamic. I feel like those sequences really worked for me. But Mike, I'll throw it off to you now. Thoughts on the scenes that coincided directly with the original film? Did you feel like they added anything, or do you feel like it was just kind of like unnecessary?
Yeah, as I say, I think, kind of unnecessary, but at the same time, because of like what this actually is, like those things that do coincide with them. Again, I liked, because I thought, as I said, like when they're trying to raise Simba and they're like getting up during the night and he's like, can't I just get a good night's sleep? It's like, that message, I was like, Rashad being a father as well, having kids and like getting up during the night to like, see to them or, whatever they need. I'm not in that position, but I know Rashad as a father probably has been in that position, right? So as a parent, and of course having parents, and at some point they would have gone through that. So yeah, like those scenes I thought was cool. I feel as if kind of maybe take away the hour and 24 movie, maybe make like a special edition of The Lion King on like a Blu-ray release or a 4K release. Maybe add those key scenes in from Lion King 1.5. So, it's maybe an extra 10, 15 minutes on the runtime, 20 minutes. And I think it would give like a really big, cool like context. But hour and 24 movie, nah, it wasn't needed at all.
Nah.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely the biggest takeaway is like, as much as I enjoyed watching it again on a nostalgic level, there was undeniably a part of me that was just like, once it was over, I was like, yeah, we didn't need this whatsoever. Because so much of it also recycles things from even the intro, it starts with Circle of Life. And then of course, Timon pops in to like make fun of the song. But everything about it is just supposed to be the first film kind of rejumbled and from a different perspective. Now, one thing about this film that is very new though, is, is we get to know of the two of them. The thing that we learn more about is Timon's family. We kind of get to learn of why he left. There's that opening number that's probably the most famous song from this movie, "Dig a Tunnel." So I'm curious, Rashad. We'll start with you again.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on like kind of learning about Timon's family? Did you like those characters? Did you like that element of the film? Where did you sit with that part?
Well, once again, I didn't like anything about the movie, but I will say that was probably the most watchable part. Seeing him and his mom interacting, I thought that was kind of cute. You know, probably the best scene was when he was walking away and leaving, and the mom is like in the background. She's like, "Hey," he's like, "All right, mom, I got it." You know, and as sons, we can relate to that. You know, when your mom's breaking your balls and you're like, "Mom, I'm a grown man now. Leave me alone." And, boy, I don't want to hear that. So that part I kind of related to a little bit. So yeah, the stuff with his family, I thought kind of worked. You know, that was the most watchable part of the film to me.
Yeah, I think part of that also is that it's the only part of the film that's really new, right? Like I think like, outside of a couple of things, it's like it's the only part that actually like warrants, I think, this film kind of existing.
Yeah,
what about you, Mike? How did you feel?
It was a Star Wars holiday special, but done right. Okay, where we have a handful of new scenes, and then they intercut it with actual footage from the Lion King movie. So that's not really a compliment, but yeah, it's a Star Wars holiday special done right.
That's what should have been on the back of the poster or the back of the DVD for this one. What about you, Mike? How did you feel about Timon, his family, like those characters and all that?
Okay, at absolute best. I will say this. I do appreciate that the man was voiced by Marge Simpson, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that.
Yeah. But because like towards the end, I'm like, this voice sounds really familiar. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, damn. Okay, it is her. Yeah, you know.
Shit.
So I thought that was cool. Of course, it plays into the scene with the hyenas right at the end, and it kind of gives a bit of. Yeah, as you said, right, as you guys have said, like it gives a bit new footage, kind of explains why Timon's a bit of an outcast as such in his tribe and his family, and why he goes on this journey, right? So, you know, in that part, it's like important why it explains why he's on this journey. And again, when he's looking at that scene where he's like, look fast that I can see, and he keeps focusing on like the different things so it gets there. I thought like that was a funny moment. So yeah, okay, but nothing too memorable, to be honest.
Fair enough. Yeah, it seems like we're all in a similar boat with me being ever so slightly more positive than you guys. Well, we're quite a bit more positive than at least Rashad. Rashad's like, fuck this whole movie altogether.
Yeah.
I like the song though.
Right. I do agree. Yeah. That song specifically at the beginning, I think is fun. And I think the animation also has the benefit of kind of being a little bit like solid too. I think there's something still to the animation of that original film that's just unreal. And there's moments in this film that really the scenes that work the most for me are the scenes that heavily rely on the first one, right? Like we got to see scene that we all loved when we were revisiting, or first time for Mike, but when we were watching the first one, is that scene at the end of the movie when the rain starts pouring and Simba's going up, you know, the Pride Rock, and you have that Hans Zimmer score behind it. That scene is just it just gives me chills. And that scene is in this movie too. So it's like I think it definitely tries to use those moments to like be like, oh yeah, this is a Lion King movie. Like here's those feels, but then it's like right back to Timon and Pumbaa.
The silly shit. The silly and Perez, that's what really pissed me off about this movie. That's what the nail in the coffin was, because like you said, every time I watch, no matter how many times I watch it, drunk or sober, every time I watch that scene on Pride Rock, especially drunk, when he's walking up and like goosebumps, chills.
Right.
And they took that and said, let's make a parody of this. And I'm like, no, man. You know, like don't fuck with a classic. You know what I mean? Don't take the Mona Lisa and paint a mustache on her, man. You're fucking with a masterpiece. I felt as a fan of the Lion King, I felt insulted. All right, if I saw this in the cinema, I probably would walk my ass out.
All right, fair enough. Well, now another question to throw your guys' way. Mike, we'll start with you this time. We've mentioned it already and stuff, but how did you feel about the fourth wall break element? How did you feel about it being like them watching a movie and all the cameos at the end? Did you like that? Did you not like that? Did you think it should have been a straightforward Lion King movie without that like narration, fourth wall breaking element? Where'd you sit with all that?
Again, I think it's tough to comment on to an extent. Like, I like the cameo scene at the end because I didn't expect all those characters to come in at all. obviously I know they're all shadow work, right? So probably without the licensing of all the coloring and all that kind of stuff, right? But so like that part I thought was quite cool. The narration, again, for like kind of movie it's telling, it fits because that's the personalities of Timon and Pumbaa. I can't say I was huge on it personally, but I think in terms of, again, they're telling like their story and they're kind of like interacting with the audience. So I think in terms of like maybe if kids were watching this, they would probably relate to that a bit more and probably, hilarious, right? They'll find it really goofy when he goes out to go get some popcorn, for example. Like, they'd probably find that funny. But as an adult, I didn't need it, but I can understand why they went that route.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Rashad? I can see you're priming to say something there.
No, well, yeah, the whole Mystery Science Theater thing I thought that was kind of cool too. So the whole breaking the fourth wall, I'm not gonna say added to the movie because the whole movie was trash, but it was a clever idea. I'll say it this way: it was a clever idea. I respect what they were attempting to do, but no.
It's interesting because I could see that disappointment in you so much. With Mike, it's like we were talking about this before, right? Mike was saying that this franchise for him has already kind of been hit or miss. He doesn't love the live action ones. He really liked the first one, but the second one he has gained more appreciation for, but didn't love it either. And then now this one also he didn't love. So he's already kind of been up and down. And I can see that disappointment in you because based on your Letterboxd scores, you gave the second one, you gave the first one a 5-star, you gave the second one a 4-star, you gave Mufasa a 4-star, just like me. And now moving into this one, I haven't seen if you gave it a Letterboxd score, but I can see that disappointment in you. What was it specifically for you that this film was really lacking, that just really didn't even make it an enjoyable Lion King? Because this is the most negative I've heard you about Lion King thing ever.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you picked up on that, bro, because as you can tell, I'm very passionate. As Robert Downey Jr. said in Tropic Thunder, I just get passionate about my movies, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm passionate about the Lion King, man. I have a connection to these, something that Mike does not have. So because Mike does not have it, Mike couldn't give a fuck. So he can watch a Timon and Pumbaa movie and be like, yeah, I mean, it was all right. No, but for me, I'm like, no, I'm pissed because you took what I loved about those movies and you just kind of just took a shit on them, almost like you're mocking them. It almost feels like you're presenting me with this nice meal, and then you shoot a snot rocket in there, and then spread it around. You know what I'm saying? That's what it felt like to me. So, yeah, like you said, the whole Mystery Science Theater thing I thought was a cool concept. Okay, and then Timon with his family, I'm like, okay, I've never seen that before. But then when it gets into the adventures of, they should have called this instead of Harry Met Sally, they should have called this Timon meets Pumbaa. That's basically what it was. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like, okay, I've seen this before, but done better. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. That I just felt like it just took a steaming triceratops shit on something that I was really passionate about, and I felt insulted as a fan.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I can't take that from you. Funny enough, though, really quickly, Q Reviews popped in here to say, hello, everyone. What's up, bro? How's it going? But most notably, I'm curious your guys' thoughts here. Crosby Critic popping in saying, without a doubt, of all the Disney direct-to-DVD movies, this one is the best one, and in my opinion, the second best Lion King film.
Wow.
Any thoughts? Anybody want to chime in?
I'm flabbergasted. I don't know what to say. Is he trolling us, or is this serious?
I think he's being serious. He's a big Disney fan. I know he's like a big animated Disney fan, but
okay.
Yeah, I can't agree either. I think of all the Lion King sequels, I'd probably still give it to Lion King 2.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think that's just like it feels like the most proper successor to the Lion King.
Right.
And I liked Mufasa too. Like I thought that was a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like in terms of like a new story that was familiar to the first one, but also like was able to kind of tell its own story, new characters, different things like that. I think the second one does it best. Now, a question that's not related to this movie in particular that I asked Mike earlier, and I'm curious your thoughts. Before Mufasa came out, we watched the second one. It was the first time watch for the two of you guys. Did knowing who Kiara was because of that second film kind of help a little bit with that watching Mufasa and like seeing her character in that movie?
Yeah, definitely. Like I always love a good Easter egg. So yeah, the fact that I saw Lion King 2 and enjoyed it. So the fact that they added Kiara in the Mufasa movie, yeah, that definitely helped. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Nice. I was telling Mike earlier that so at the end of Mufasa, and this is a slight spoiler for the end of Mufasa, Simba and Nala introduced Kiara to her brother. And obviously, if you've seen The Lion King 2, there is no brother yet, but there is a TV show that came out on Disney Channel that's on Disney Plus right now called The Lion Guard that focuses on that character, Nala and Simba's son. I am going to cover it on the channel, but I'm not, kind of like when me and Mike went through all the Land Before Time movies. We did all the movies, but then there's a TV show too. And I was like, I'm not going to make Mike watch the TV show. So I'm going to watch The Lion Guard on my own to cover. But for anybody interested in more Lion King, there is an animated Lion King show called The Lion Guard. I don't know how silly and kid friendly it is. I don't know if it's like preschool age storytelling or if it's more like these movies, but it does exist out there for anybody who needs a little more Lion King animated stuff in their lives. Now, a question I have for you guys that I asked about the second movie too, and obviously Mufasa pulled elements from The Lion King 2, obviously most notably Kiara. What would you guys think? And Rashad, we'll start with you. I'm pretty sure I know your answer. What would you guys think if you heard that they were remaking this movie into live action?
Oh, I definitely want to watch it. And there's nothing that, because Perez, you're good at persuading me to watch shit that I don't want to watch. You know what I'm saying? But that there's absolutely nothing that you can say that will convince me to watch that. I don't care if it gets 100,000 views for a video. Like Rashad is going to do good numbers on your channel. I don't give a fuck. I will not, absolutely not watch that under no circumstance.
What about you, Mike? How do you feel if they announced that they were making a Lion King 1.5? How would you feel about it?
No, no. Like as I say, like you know, okay, maybe if they re-released the first live-action Lion King, updated like the the animal expressions, a bit like Mufasa, where they had a bit more emotion to them, so it sells that movie a bit more. And maybe if they added the key scenes of 1.5 onto that live action, and like as an extended cut, so to say, maybe. But as its own thing, nah, I'm not going.
Absolutely not.
I'm staying home.
Absolutely not.
Fair enough. But I have a question for you guys. Of the voice actors who play Timon and Pumbaa, do you prefer the animated versions or do you prefer the live action versions? Either one of you guys, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, the animated versions for sure, because those are the ones I've heard the most. I've seen the most, and yeah, that's my Timon and Pumbaa. You know, nothing against, was it Seth Rogen and who voiced Pumbaa?
Seth Rogen is Pumbaa. I'm struggling to remember.
Timon. I mean Timon. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now. I want to say Billy Eichner. Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but yeah, I mean they didn't do a bad job. You know, I mean, even like Seth Rogen, because Seth Rogen has such a distinct voice where you like as soon as you hear it, you think Seth Rogen. So when I was watching Mufasa, like I didn't see Pumbaa, I just see Seth Rogen. You know, that's all I heard. So yeah, I prefer the OG voice actors for sure.
What about you, Mike? I know you don't have as much nostalgia for those OG actors, so what do you think?
Yeah, you're right. So I don't have the nostalgia, but after watching, 3 of these animated movies now, I don't see why they couldn't have the original animation voices, as long as they're alive, of course, I don't see why you can't have them, because you'd save on the budget. Everyone knows those voices already, and they establish them with Timon and Pumbaa. I don't think the comedy works in the live action for Timon and Pumbaa, personally. I think it kind of comes off quite corny and cheesy, instead of actually like funny and witty kind of banter between the two. So yeah, definitely the animated voices.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely agree. Right, like I would have to check if the actor who plays Pumbaa is still alive. I'm pretty sure the guy who plays Timon is still alive for sure. But like, yeah, it was an interesting choice with the live action ones because they brought James Earl Jones back to play Mufasa. They were like, oh, we can't recast this. But it's like, you could have brought back Matthew Broderick if that was the case. You could have brought back, the rest of the cast. You could have brought back Jeremy Irons as Scar. Like that was the weirdest choice for me. The fact that they were like, let's bring Mufasa back as James Earl Jones, but then we're gonna get, Chiwetel Ejiofor to play Scar.
I hate that you can say that name, but I can't.
you gotta say it phonetically, man. You gotta say it phonetically.
All right, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
There you go. That was the closest I've ever heard you say his name.
I've been practicing, dog. I've been practicing.
Whenever I see him in a thumbnail for something of yours, I'm like, oh, here we go. Because what you end up calling him like Chewy or something like that.
Yeah, that's just the easiest way to say, yo, Chewy. That's it.
All right. Well, real quick, just for the conversation we were having earlier, Crosby Critic popped back in to say, hold on, let me defend. Like in terms of pure comedy, it just works perfectly. The way it weaves into the original film doesn't harm the movie, except Simba's birth. Direct-to-DVD movies like Pocahontas 2, Cinderella 2, Lady and the Tramp 2, all of these are horrible in terms of quality of a direct-to-DVD movie. 1.5 is so good. Anybody want to chime in?
Well, is Lion King 2 a direct-to-DVD? It feels like...
Yeah, the Lion King 2, both the second one and 1.5 went straight to video. They never went to theaters.
I would say the Crosby Critic, go rewatch Lion King 2 if you think this one's a masterpiece, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, each to their own. Everyone's got their own opinion. I'm not trying to take away from Crosby Critic. That's how he feels. I've never seen those sequels, Pocahontas, Cinderella 2, and Lady and the Tramp 2, so I can't comment. But nah, definitely not.
I'll say this: I think Pocahontas 2, Cinderella 2, and some other ones like Mulan 2, those are pretty weak. Especially once you get to like Cinderella like 3. I think they added like time travel, which is like the weirdest thing. If I remember, it was like they traveled back in time or something like that. It was like the weirdest thing to do. But I do like Lady and the Tramp 2. I won't lie. I think Lady and the Tramp 2 is a good sequel. It's not the original is classic. You can't, the original is the original.
Wait, did you and Blacktastic do a review for Lady and the Tramp 2?
Yeah, we did Lady and the Tramp and Lady and the Tramp 2, and then I had Chad Saberin on for the Lady and the Tramp remake, which I quite enjoyed, but Chad did not enjoy it. So, but I will say this: the remake was unnecessary. It was a lesser version of the original one, and it was the first of the Disney live action remakes to skip theaters and go straight to Disney Plus. If that gives you any sense of the quality in comparison to like Mufasa or these other ones that they put in theaters. Crosby also popping in here just to say, no, I do need to rewatch The Lion King. It's been like since I was 5 since I last watched it. Yeah, I highly recommend rewatching Lion King 2. I think that is the best sequel that has come out in the Lion King franchise for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Like I wanted to see Kova appear in Mufasa. I thought he was going to have a cameo, and unfortunately that didn't happen. I even stayed for the end credits. Like, come on, we're going to see Kova, and now we didn't get that. But that's how much I liked him as a character. I really wanted to see him. Sure.
Yeah, well, I guess that begs the question now, right? Like as they move forward, we did the prequel. We have Kiara in the mix. Would you guys like to see another live action Lion King movie that like retells Simba's pride a little bit and brings Kovu into the mix?
Oh, Mike.
Mike's over there like struggling.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like we were saying before, Rashad jumped on. I think if they've got a good enough story to tell, yes, I'll be there, right? Because like Rashad was saying, I like Kovu. I like, I say watching this one gave me much more appreciation for the second one, right? So, but again, only if they've got a good story to tell. If it's just going to be kind of like a rehash or haven't got really like a rich story to tell, just don't bother, really.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. What about you, Rashad?
Yeah, hell yeah, watch another one, and yeah, if it's written right. I mean, because I know before I said that Lion King 1.5 was an unnecessary movie, but then so was Mufasa. But because the story to me was just so compelling, you know what I'm saying? Like the longer it went, the more I was like invested now in, the whole thing with Mufasa and Scar, you know what I'm saying? So if it's done right, you can make unnecessary work. But if it's written like shit, like this movie, Lion King 1.5, you lose me, and you never get me back.
I mean, fair enough for sure. I know that Mike didn't like Mufasa too much, but I always wanted a brother. That song has been stuck in my head ever since I saw the movie, dude.
Facts.
There's a couple of songs in that movie though that are pretty bad. I won't lie. Like the Mads Mikkelsen's like "Bye Bye" song when he shows up to like the other lions. That's a rough song. I leaned over to Haley as soon as it ended. And I go, yeah, that one was not great.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Mike? Though I think I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say like with the Mufasa one. So I know I mentioned this before Rashad jumped on, but again, watching this one gave me more appreciation for Mufasa as well. So again, that movie wasn't terrible. Like I didn't mind the movie. I wasn't bored. I didn't walk away and think, what was the point, right? I still walked out being like, I like the kind of bit more rich layer that added to it. I can't say it's going to be one I'm going to rewatch time and time again or anything like that, but no, I still liked it. And again, this movie's giving me more appreciation for that as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it seems like we this is a movie that we're all kind of torn on, except for Rashad. Rashad's pretty clear.
No, I'm not torn at all. Nah. I mean, if anything, my heart was torn out because of how epic those other movies were, and then this happened. But hey, I mean, just like anything, if you have more than a few kids, you're always gonna have that one bad in the bunch. You know what I'm saying? You're always gonna have that one child that you don't like, and that's this movie. This is the child that you'd be like, damn, yeah, they all can't be perfect,
So, which one of your kids is this movie?
Oh, now you know what? It was my daughter, but lately she's been stepping her game up. She's been stepping her game up.
I didn't think you were going to answer. I thought you were going to be like, "Oh, let's move on."
Oh, listen, I have rankings. I had like you know what Deion Sanders is, the football player.
Yeah.
Rankings.
Yeah, so I took a page out of Deion Sanders' book. So Deion Sanders has 5 kids, and he ranks his kids every month, right, 1 through 5, best to worst. So I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna start doing that. So even though I only have 2, but I rank them every month. So whenever they mess up and do something stupid to piss me off, I'll be like, "Oh, you just dropped down to number 3, Dad. There's only 2 of us. I know, but you're at the bottom now. You have to work your way back up." So right now, my daughter actually just made number 1. So after 5 months, my daughter's now number 1. My son is now number 2, and he doesn't like that.
That's hilarious, bro. Dude, I was not expecting that answer. That was the last thing I expected. I was waiting for that, like, that father's love, like, oh, no, I can't rank my children. Rashad was like, well, let me show you the pie chart here.
Yeah, every month. And don't get me wrong. I tell him, look, I love both of y'all the same, but sometimes I like you different. So it depends. Like my daughter lately's been spending time with me. She'll call me. And my son, ever since I got him the PS5 for Christmas, I don't even see him no more. So I'm like, bro, you're going to fuck around and drop to number 3. If you're not careful, he already lost his number 1 spot, so keep it up.
That's hilarious, bro. Oh, dude.
Like, Perez, okay, it's you and your sister, right?
Yeah, just me and my sister, yeah.
I guarantee your mom has she won't tell you, but I guarantee your mom has a favorite between the both of y'all.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not me, for sure. That much I know, for sure. What's it called? So going back to this movie, there's one character that we all really tend to enjoy in these movies, despite whether we love the movies or not, and that's Rafiki. And Rafiki has some significant scenes in this movie. So, Mike, I'll throw it over to you first this time. What did you think about Rafiki and him kind of, telling Timon to look beyond what he sees and like being a part of this movie?
Yeah, okay, I guess,
Shit.
Nah, like I said, I like Rafiki. Rafiki's one of the best characters in this entire movie series, right? But again, I like that scene where he's like, look as far as the eye can see, and he notices the Pride Rock. And I'd say that scene alone gave me more appreciation for Mufasa, the Lion King, the live action one, right? And it kind of beginning whatever. And yeah, again, I just think too long of a movie really for me to really care about his involvement. I say, like, it's cool to see him again. It's cool to add them in here and give him a bit more context to add to Timon's journey, right? But yeah, wasn't really needed.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What about you, Rashad?
Yeah, Rafiki was definitely a highlight in the first movie. Well, he was in 2 also, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rafiki's always great, but I feel like in this movie, the studio said, like, hey, man, we need you to do a cameo. Do the same shit you did in the first 2 movies, man. We'll pay you an extra $10 million. I felt like Rafiki just did this shit for a paycheck, man. And that he really want to be in this movie. He just recycled the same shit he did in 1 and 2 and got that paycheck and got out of Dodge. It was like Mr. Miyagi next Karate Kid,
That's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, doing the same shit but watered down.
I'm curious. What are you gonna rate this on Letterboxd?
Oh well, I purposely didn't rate it because I wanted to save my thoughts for this stream. So on Letterboxd, I'm giving this a 1.5 stars.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah,
you're one star behind Mike.
Oh my!
I think. Hold on, Mike. Did you give it a 2 or 2.5? I can't remember.
So I gave it 2.5, but I did say like official scores between 2 and a 2.5. But I know you can't do 2.25 or whatever, you know.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Oh, real quickly, we got some comments in here. Jason, the old millennial, popping in to say that he thinks this is much better than The Lion King 2. That he loves the relationship between Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba. Yeah, so Rashad.
Wow.
Yeah, we were all saying how we don't necessarily feel that way. We all like the second one more, but I do think that there's fun to be had with Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba in this movie.
Yeah,
Rashad, you got something to say there, bro? You look like you're ready to say something.
But then again, Jason doesn't like the Spider-Man movies either, man. So we just see movies totally different, man. So yeah, I got nothing to say, dog.
Fair enough. He said, "What?" Yeah, I think we will all say The Lion King 2 is a better movie, but by a lot too, in my opinion. But by like a decent margin.
Close.
Yeah.
Not even Jason.
Alden Tuttle also popped in here to say, "I love the original Lion King, but also remember wearing out the tape on the DVD for this one. It's fun, and I think it just adds a little bit of extra to the original." Yeah, that's about how I would say. Like, it feels fun. It adds a little extra to the original, but Rashad will never watch it ever again.
But then, I mean, if I was a small kid, and like you said, Perez, if I had like all the extra stuff that you have with the DVD, you know, I think like it'll be more of a nostalgia thing for me. It'll be like one of those, like, yeah, it's a bad movie, but I have a soft spot in my heart for this movie. You know what I mean? So
right.
If I saw this as a shorty, I probably would have had more of a connection to it. But as a 45-year-old man that's starting to gray, nah, man, I'd rather eat cat shit with a knit needle than to watch this again.
Would you rather watch this again or AnthonyAPerez?
Woo! This all day, twice on Sunday, bro. Twice on Sunday, man. Never I'll watch AnthonyAPerez again. Fuck that,
oh man. Jason also popped in just to say, I really like this one. Don't worry, Jason. You're not alone. I do like this movie too. I just think it's the worst of the three that they like of the animated movies, but I do think it's a good movie. My wife and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
So is it the rise of Skywalker of the Lion King movies?
I don't know, man. Mike, yes, absolutely. For me, it feels like I said, almost like a Solo, a Star Wars story of the Lion King, where it just gives you context you already kind of knew, and then kind of like recontextualizes a couple of things. But I like Solo. It's Solo, you know, it's not Revenge of the Sith or Empire Strikes Back, you know, by no means, but you know, I like it for what it is. Jason, no.
No, what? Is that like a good no or a bad no?
I think he's fighting against our opinions on this one, the second one being better than this one.
Gotcha.
But fair enough. We all see movies ever so slightly different. I know Jason, like Ryan and like Mike, are the hot take kings. They tend to be the hot take kings.
Yes.
Which is fine. You know, we need the hot take kings in this world right now.
You know what it is, man. I'm just going to quickly add to that comment. Like, you know, I feel like it's one of those, as you know, as every year goes by and we review movies on YouTube, right? We review countless movies every year. I think it's just got to the point now where I say at the start of this year, I'm just not taking crap anymore. Like, you know, I think when you look back on it, and when we like maybe give these movies a pass, right? Or maybe be like, oh, you know, yeah, it's a 3.5 star. Like for me, that would be like a rewatch, right? Yeah. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, nah, I'm not rewatching this ever again. So I can't give this a good score.
Yeah.
You know, like in Nosferatu, just very quickly, you know, like again, one of the most beautiful movies you'll probably ever see in the modern age of cinema, right? Like the way Edgar shot that movie, utterly fantastic, right? No one can doubt that, but it put me to sleep. I'd say like Uncle Shard was proud of me that day, you know?
Yeah. Mike, let me tell you something. Yo, yes, you've definitely come a long way, bro, because you used to be so merciful. If it was a bad movie, like I think I teased you about it before. I said Mike has the most elegant way of insulting a film without insulting a film. So you can say like, yeah, like it wasn't terrible, but something I probably would not watch again. But at the same time, if you like it, then you like it. But I just feel like it was so like Mike, just say you don't like it, man. You know what I'm saying? And now you just the gloves came off, but you just don't give a fuck no more. And I love it. I want to see more of this Mike. Yeah.
I used to tease Mike sometimes because Mike would be in these reviews like, yeah, you know what, like kind of like you said, like it wasn't terrible, but it you know, it had its benefits, and it was like there was this element, and you know, there are these things that are worth watching in it. And then at the end, he'd be like, my score 1.5. I'm
like, yeah, just say you don't like it, man. You know,
I've just hit that point. I've just hit that point, guys, where, like, you know, to give you a quick example, I know a bit off topic, but give a quick example. The other night I was on Amazon Prime, and there was a movie called Intruder, which I think is from the 70s or the 80s. And I like the poster because it was the remastered version, right? So it's like the brand new 4K edition of it or whatever. I got 10 minutes into that movie, and I was like, okay, cool, we're onto like a really cool premise here. And by the time we hit to the halfway spot, I was like, this is boring as shit. I turned it off, you know? And, you know, it's like the movies, like today I watched Flight Risk and I watched Presence as well. I know we talked to Presence about to you, Perez, afterwards. But none of those movies, well, Presence maybe more so than Flight Risk. But Flight Risk, I'm never watching that crap again. You know?
Oh, wow. I'm going to see that right after we leave the stream. I'm going to a 2:45 show.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, fellas. I'll say this. You know, I'll say this. It's an easy watch, right? Okay. I'll say that much. It's an easy watch. It's nothing that's going to be top 10 end of the year, top 10 worst at the end of the year. But it's just a meh sandwich, I guess. You know.
Damn, a nothing burger, huh?
A nothing burger. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing that, which is a shame because I love Mel Gibson and I want to see it just because of the kind of work he's put out before. But it makes me wonder if it, like, obviously we'll see how me and Rashad feel about it after we see it today.
Right.
But I'm curious.
When you guys watch it, message me, say if you thought it was a nothing burger or you thought it was more than that.
For sure.
It's just crazy because, like, you know, he's put out a lot of bangers, but I hope this doesn't bode for like what to expect from like the Passion of the Christ sequel. That like you know, like the original is one of the best. I would say like the best Jesus film ever made, like of all time. Like I think there's nothing else that I would even say comes close.
Right.
So to do a story on like the resurrection and the part of the Bible where Jesus goes down to hell and all that kind of stuff, like if you're gonna do that portion of the Bible, you gotta nail it. So hopefully, if this movie's not great, I hope it's not like an indicator that movie is also gonna possibly like not be the sequel that we needed, you know, like, because I don't even think we need one, to be honest.
Well, I read up last night on that very quickly, not to interrupt. I just read up on that last night, Perez, when we were talking about it, and he is spending a lot of time writing it, and before, because I think they're doing pre-production next year, in 2026. So I think for me, like, because this is his first movie in quite some time. Was it Hacksaw Ridge's last movie, Mel Gibson's?
I
think so, yeah. So almost probably a little under 10 years, maybe like 7 years ago.
So it's like a warm up movie, you know.
That's what I kind of feel like this one is, you know, and I feel like with that, you know, Resurrection of the Christ, I think they're going to call it, with how big that first movie is and controversial to a lot of people, you know, everyone's going to take something differently from that movie. I think that's the one for me, for him. He would take away, he'll have his time, he'll, you know, make sure he gets it right, you know, or like at least bring it an adaptation that people can take away and, you know, talk about, right? Then just deliver it hot dump, you know?
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said before, everybody has the, you know, this is going to be the child that he's probably never going to, you know, this is his unwanted baby. You know what I'm saying?
Rashad with the freaking kid analogies. Really quickly, as we come to the end of this, I saw Jason popped in here saying, someone told me I don't like movies because I didn't want to see Nosferatu. You know, it's a tough one, right? Because every here and there, there's one of those movies that pops up that's just so... Because here's the one thing. If you were a fan of filmmaking, you can't deny Nosferatu is one of the most beautiful films of 2024 and one of the most beautiful vampire films on a visual level.
Right.
I'm not surprised to hear that some people didn't like it like you guys. I know you guys didn't like it. I loved it, but I'm also a big fan of old school gothic like vampire movies. Like I've always have been since I was a kid, especially Dracula movies. So I feel like I'm the target audience. But the movie was, you know, it's not like, you know, it's not Avengers Endgame. You know, it's not like a movie that's got like all these different plot lines and characters and like action stuff. It's a pretty slow paced film in a lot of ways. So on top of that too, you know, it's got like those horror, sexual, weird undertones and stuff like that. That like it's just not for everybody. Like so,
Yeah.
you know, Jason, don't let people get discouraged you in that sense. I think it's one of those films that just because of how well made it is, and obviously you see it got all those Oscar nominations. I'm sure even you could probably be like, okay, well, this movie's well made. It does. Knowing you enough, Jason, I would say it's just not your kind of movie, right? Like I look at somebody like my dad. My dad likes watching movies. You know, he was over here not too long ago. He watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. He hadn't seen it yet, and he really enjoyed watching that. But he my dad's not really into horror, you know, like so when I love horror, he knows I love horror, and I watch and cover a lot of horror. And so I was talking to him about The Substance a little bit, and he thought it was an interesting idea and concept, but and he was like, that sounds interesting. But I told him about it. I was like, I know you won't like this. My dad doesn't like overly gory movies. He doesn't like demon possession movies. He doesn't like horror movies. Like the last horror movie I saw with my dad, and I had to talk him into seeing it, was It. And the only reason he was willing to watch it with me was because I was like, it's more like Stranger Things. He likes Stranger Things. He likes certain things like Stranger Things. He likes like The Walking Dead. You know, he's watched things like Game of Thrones. He likes that kind of stuff. So my dad is able to like dip his toes into that world. He just doesn't into like I'll never sit him down and be like, hey, you want to watch the Conjuring movies? It's just not going to happen. I like the first two Conjuring movies quite a bit, but I know for a fact they're just not my dad's kind of movie, you know? So with Jason, I feel like, you know, it's just one of those things. I know you enough from your taste and reading your reviews and watching your reviews that Nosferatu does not seem to be up your alley. So I wouldn't take what that person says to heart, you know, because that's going to happen too. Recently, sometimes you're just against the grain, right? Like recently I covered one of them days, and you know, I had people commenting, bro, on my video that like I got trash taste. Yeah, so people commenting I have trash taste. One other guy was just like, you know, clearly you don't know anything about black comedies. And I'm just telling him, like, if you go on my channel, I've covered a bunch of black comedies and I've loved them. And I told him, if you go to my buddy Rashad Reviews channel, I've covered all kinds of black films over there with him, many of which being comedies. And I've had positives, I've had negatives. And I think they were trying to allude to the fact that because I'm white, I can't connect with it. But I was like, I also grew up in a predominantly black area in South, like Miami area. And like, my family was one of the only white families in the neighborhood in an area that probably people would have considered the hood. So it's like, I love me a good hood comedy, but I just didn't like it. Rashad liked it though, and a lot of people did like it.
I dug it. Well, and that's okay. Well, it's funny, Perez. I watched with my daughter last weekend, and I kind of had to defend you a little bit because after we got done watching, my daughter absolutely loved it. She wants to go see it again. She loved the movie, right? I really dug it. Like, I'm not gonna say I was in love with it, but maybe after a few watches, it might really grow on me. But it felt like a recycled Friday. You know what I'm saying? So, I dug it though. But I dug it.
That's your nice Mike way of saying that it was a Friday ripoff. Is really what.
It's an enjoyable Friday ripoff, but with girls. But my daughter, she loved it. So I said, so I leaned over to her. I said, "Yeah, Perez didn't like this movie too much." She said, "You know what? Because he don't like black movies." I said, "Renaya," I said, "He had a girlfriend that was black." I said, I said, "He's covered black movies on my channel." I said, "He ain't like, it don't matter." You know, and then she tried to get paid to Fat Joe. She's like, well, Fat Joe, he hung around black people. He don't like black stuff. I said, Jesus Christ. I said, keep it up. You're going to drop down to number 2. Keep it up.
Well, she just dropped down to number 3 for me. But yeah, you know, and I think that's just going to happen sometimes, right? For me with that movie, it's like I've seen that humor before in better black comedies.
Right.
And I think the Friday franchise in general is a funnier version of that movie. I think if that movie didn't have Keke Palmer, it would have been way worse. Keke Palmer held that movie together 100%. And she's great. I love Keke Palmer. I even said that in my review. Going back to Aquila and the Bee and that Disney Channel movie Jump In, and you know, in recent years things like Nope, like she's continued to be a really good actress. She's funny. She can play like charming and endearing. She can play drama as well. So you know, no shade to her. And if you watch my review, I had a lot of positives to say as well. I just don't think I just watched the movie like this half the time. And people were laughing around me, and I was just like, what? And then like I think the funniest thing that happened in the movie is that SZA is the biggest dumbass in that movie. Her character is like literally everything goes wrong in that movie because of her character. And there was just one guy behind me that just goes, "Is SZA a dumbass?" Like that was the funniest part of the movie.
Yeah, well, that's one thing we definitely agreed on. Like SZA, to me, like her. Okay, as an actor, I thought she did a good job in her first role, you know, acting. But I hated her character. Like every time she was on screen, I'm like, you can't be that stupid. I'm like, you're not that stupid. It's like, come on, man. Like it was getting, my pressure was getting up. That's how mad she was making me.
Right.
But no, I laughed a lot though, because a lot of that stuff I just on a personal level I could relate to, like the candy lady in the hood. Like I don't know if you ever heard of the candy lady, but every hood you go to across America, every project, every hood area, you have that one old lady that sells pickled pig feet, candy, freeze cups. You know, she's like the convenience store in the hood.
Right.
But she runs out of her house. Every hood has one. So I said, wait a minute. I said, they got the candy lady in this movie. Never seen that before. You know, the tumble weave where you have the weave that was
right.
every day, Perez. Every day I walk out my door, tumble weave. All the time. Yeah. So there was just certain things in this movie where I'm like, because I stay in the hood, unfortunately, and I'm like, I can relate to that. So I guess that's why I had a connection with it, because you know a lot of that stuff me and my daughter, we live every day. Just about.
Right. No, I mean, and fair enough, man. You know, I think it wasn't. Here's the thing. It wasn't a terrible movie for me. It just wasn't like a particularly good one. Like if I would watch it again. Like it doesn't. You know, like I gave it a 2 out of 5, but I would watch it again. Like, but I'm not in any rush to do so. You know, and maybe I'd like it a little bit more. But there was people around me that were cackling. So I said that in my review. There were people cackling in my review, in my screening. So I was like, all right, well, this is just one of those movies that people are going to really connect with, depending on your personal taste of humor. And humor, I would say more so than like film in general is subjective. Humor is more subjective. You know, I'm sure you guys have been somewhere where somebody shows you a funny video on their phone that they're cracking up about, and it's just not funny at all. And it's just like, it's one of those things where humor is just super subjective.
Well, look, I have a lot of hot takes because like a lot of people love white chicks, and I'm in the minority of people that doesn't. I don't think white chicks is funny. I mean, I think white chicks are funny, but the movie White Chicks I don't think is funny. But you know,
yeah, there you go. And I love that movie, but I get it, right? Like that's the thing with comedy. It's so subjective, you know. And some of my favorite comedies of all time have like horrible scores online. Like, I don't know. Like earlier this last year, I rewatched one that I love with Vince Vaughn and John Favreau and Jason Bateman called Couples Retreat. I love that movie.
I love that movie. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
If you go online, it's got like a 20% on Rotten Tomato. Like it's got horrible reviews, you know. Even something like Jingle All the Way. I think like so many people love that movie and think it's one of the funniest, best Christmas movies, but the scores online are terrible, you know. Like so, it's one of those things where it's like with comedy, it's even more subjective than movies themselves. But yeah. So as we come up to the end of this now, guys, a big thing. Clearly, obviously, we went on a little tangent here. I think we've said everything we need to say on The Lion King 1.5. Right? There isn't an abundance to say, but it's nice to just talk movies with you guys in general. And yeah, this will be the last time for a little bit that we'll have Rashad and Mike together on the channel. I already have stuff in the back pocket planned to have the two of them on again, but they will be on with other guests. So this will be the last time and for a little bit here on the channel that we'll have the two of them. But it's been a blast. I love when I come to the end of any series and I can look back at all the thumbnails and be like, yeah, we did that damn thing. Just kind of like Mike, Harry Potter. Like when I'll go back every here and there and I'll look at the playlist and look through the thumbnails and be like I'll remember the memories of like certain things Rashad said in certain videos. Same with Mike and I with The Land Before Time. You two are people that I've covered like long series with, you know. And when I can go back and look at all those thumbnails and be like, wow, we really did that. It's awesome. So here we are now coming to a close with The Lion King. 3 movies we talked about. Again, there is The Lion Guard, the TV show. I will be covering that at some point. It's not something I'm immediately going to be getting to. But this year I'm hoping to get to The Lion Guard and to The Land Before Time TV show. So I should have those videos out sometime later this year, but it's not an immediate thing. Quick things to plug on my side. Fuck, I almost just choked and died right there. My review for like spit just hit me right in the back of the throat. Presents, just dropped my review for Presents, one of the new releases. It's on. I dropped it last night. It is currently on the channel. It's the newest video. Later on today, I will have a review up for Flight Risk, with obviously the Mel Gibson film we were talking about. And then a couple days ago, I dropped the review for I'm Still Here, a Brazilian film that just got a bunch of, or just got 3 nominations at the Oscars. The video is doing wonders for me right now. So if you guys want to continue to support the channel, go check out that video. But also check out I'm Still Here. It's a really, really powerful film. that touches on some pretty serious things, real life stuff. It's very realistic feeling film too. Like I really want to preface that, like it's a film that feels so realistic, which I really enjoyed. But with all that said, Rashad, we'll throw it over to you. Anything you want to plug on your channel? Anything coming out? All that jazz.
Yeah, so I'm going to see Flight Risk after we get done with the stream, so I should have that video up tonight. And then Presents I'll probably check out Sunday, because tomorrow I'm checking out Dogman. The early screening. You're going to be there too, right? Perez?
Yeah, I'll be at the screening of Dogman. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So me and my son are going to see Dogman tomorrow with Perez as well. So I'll have that video out tomorrow. And I'm still working on my No Holds Barred reaction that me and Mike did, which is taking fucking forever. Reaction videos are like I like putting them out, but man, they're a bitch to do, man. Golly. So I should have that. I'm aiming for Sunday, man, but most likely I'm not gonna have it done on Sunday. But I'm just putting it out there. I'm gonna hopefully have it done by Sunday. So that's it. Presents, No Holds Barred, and Dogman, and Flight Risk.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, well, I mean, firstly, I just want to say, Perez, thanks for having me on for this Lion King series. It's great that I'll be honest, it's great that it's finished. I'll be quite frank. I'm done with the Lion King for now. But it's as I say, it's good to look back on in the future as well. Secondly, I just want to say congrats on your viewership on I'm Still Here. If anyone don't know, 25,000 last time I checked views, which is
25, 14 last night. God damn. 25.
I'm feeling very grateful for it right now. Yeah, 25,000 of views on that I'm Still Here video. And I think the part that's blowing my mind the most is the likes, because we all know that you can get like a lot of views sometimes, and then the likes don't really match up. But I got like almost 3,000 likes. I've never had this many likes.
Nice.
My Passion of the Christ video has 47,000 views, and that thing only has a couple hundred likes. So I'm blown away at the likes and the support.
Nice.
But yeah, anyway, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it, man. I'm feeling very grateful for it, for sure.
Yes, of course. And then thirdly, before I plug my stuff, I just want to say thanks to Rashad the other day for having me on for the No Holds Barred watch along. You guys have to watch that because that was a blast. So keep an eye out for Rashad as well. As for myself, so I dropped a review for Flight Risk, kind of an out the cinema review. It's only like 4 minutes, so it's not long of a review. I checked Presents out today, so I will record a video for some point at that. Maybe tomorrow that will release. 27th, I've got Melodrive dropping, which is Oscar Wenman Hyde's brand new movie. Got sent an early screen from Oscar. I know Perez did as well. So that review will be dropping on the 27th. And then besides that, to be honest, I'm not really too sure, because coming up I've got like 4 days at work, which I'll not be shooting any videos. But next week I will say this. My most anticipated movie for 2025 is coming out, Companion, from the makers of Barbarian. I'm hyped to see that movie. I know Rashad's shaking his head. But man, I'm excited for that movie. So I've already said to Emma, day one, I'm at that screening. So that'll be a review be coming up as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm seeing Companion next week as well, on Thursday. And then also, like you said, Melodrive, I have that review coming out on the 27th as well, the Oscar Wenman Hyde film. And just a couple other little things to sprinkle in here for myself. I'm currently, I rewatched the first Paddington. I'm going to watch Paddington 2 for the first time ahead of the release of the third film here in the States, which now is coming out like 3 or 4 months after it already came out in the UK and other countries. I looked on IMDb, and literally almost every other country in the world got it way before we did, which is crazy. But anyway, I'll be doing a review roundup of the first 2 Paddington films before the third one comes out. I'm also doing a little rewatch of Daredevil as well. I'm thinking about doing a video on all of the Netflix Marvel TV shows, that era, as we lead into Daredevil Born Again, the new Daredevil series that brings Charlie Cox back in the cast for the new series on Disney Plus. Cannot wait for that. I think most people are really excited for that. So I'm just giving a little bit of a rewatch to Daredevil so that I'm caught up and remember what's going on, because it's been years since that show was gone. There's going to be a nonstop movie-related content coming from the three of us. I'm sure in the coming weeks, the three of us are going to have tons to talk about. So definitely give these 2 guys some love. The links to their channels are down below. Definitely go to their channel, check out a video, leave a comment, let them know I sent you, whatever the case may be. And we'll see all you guys in the next one. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.